Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Pepper.
And today we're going to roast it with this first impression of Coffee Roaster.
Yes, this is a solo-only game from Saashi, which I've heard quite a bit about from the Dice Tower and their top 100. I know Mike Delicio and Z Garcia both like quite a few of their games, so and this is one that I've heard a lot of good things about, so I, for one, have been looking forward to playing this. You, on the other hand?
The name kind of had me interested. I wasn't sure because it was a solo-only game, and I hadn't looked at it that much. I guess I must have watched the Tom Solo-a-thon, and I don't remember how this game was played then, but yeah, it wasn't one that like really grabbed my attention. I suppose maybe if I drank coffee, it would be a little more of an interesting theme, but since I don't, the theme isn't something that's going to definitely get me, but it's an interesting theme.
I don't think it's one. I think it's like Wingspan, where even people who aren't into birds still recognize that it's a unique theme and can enjoy it for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If it had been brewing a hot cup of cocoa, then maybe it would have got me. Getting the right amount of marshmallows in there. maybe there'll be a retheme version to this. But no, just based on that, it was an interesting theme that I was willing to try out at some point, but it wasn't one that I was like, oh, I have to get this tried and tried out. But yeah, but then you looked into it more, and mainly based on the fact that you'd started playing more solo versions of games or cooperative games. So this definitely fits up that alley since it's designed to be solo. And one could argue a lot of the games we have, a lot of Euro games that I tend to like, you probably tend to like as well, are ones that there's not too much interaction, so it's almost, if you're playing this, a very similar experience to this.
Yeah, a lot of them are just kind of compare your scores at the end, but you really didn't compete against each other in the game, but
So my expectations going into this one weren't too high. Like you said, I'd heard other people say good things about it, and so, I mean, there were some expectations there. It's not like I went into this totally blind thinking, oh, this could be the worst game I've ever played, but,
Yeah, I went into it expecting it to be, I mean, I haven't played a lot of solo-only games. I think I've played Sprawlopolis, which is just a little card game, and Under Falling Skies, each of which I've liked a lot, as well as the Oniverse of games, Onirum, Nautilion, and so on. So I've liked those, and I've heard a lot more about this than I've heard people talk about those, so I expected this to be one of the better solo experiences.
Yeah, and so, then we ended up giving it a try. You played it a couple times, and then
I played it like
it kind of
2 or 3
walked
times,
me through my play of it. Which, I mean, explaining the rules, it's, for some reason, I was thinking that it was a very, very complicated game, and maybe you were the one that read the rules, so maybe the rules are tough.
In, like, the solo marathon for Mr. Tom Vassell, he had to actually get it back out of the box, unpack it after he had put it away, to retry it because people were complaining in the comments at how wrong he had played it, and he was commenting a lot that the rule book was not clear at all, and I didn't really have that experience because I had watched that and had learned how to play it correctly, but still I don't think it's the best rule book, kind of with the placement of things, just kind of some things are in the back when they should be in the front type of thing, so it's not too hard to explain the game, but I could see learning it could be tough.
Yeah, and I think that was maybe one of the reasons why I didn't want to look into it further, was because of that.
Yeah.
I think before that I had a little bit more interest, but then the fact that he was having that much trouble, I'm like, at the time, well, even now, I don't play that many solo games, so it wasn't, right off the bat, it wasn't really one thing that I was looking for, more solo games or anything like that. And then the fact that he was having so much trouble, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna put myself through that just to play a solo game. So, yeah, that's why I was kind of curious because it seemed like, at least assuming we play, you taught me right and I played it right, that it's a simple enough one to learn. It makes sense if you've played other like bag building type games, like I don't know, like in Orleans or Quacks of Quedlinburg or something like that.
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense as to how things kind of work.
Yeah, like you said, it's a bag building game, which I guess we can kind of go on to what we thought of the game. I really love bag building or any pool building that you can have, deck building or and so on. So that also intrigued me about the game, and I really enjoy the bag building in this game. You're pretty much trying to pull a certain amount of chips equal to the round, and you're going to be roasting the beans and trying to get them up to higher levels so that when you think the time is right, you can pull like 10 chips from the bag and try to hit a certain number. It also gets there's some extra colored flavor tokens that have special abilities you can use on the board and also score you points at the end. But I really love the trying to tell when the bag is ready to pull. Should you go one more round and maybe add some smoke tokens in there that can be negative points, or do you just roast it now and maybe end up with a pretty blah cup of coffee? Pretty weak cup.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's a thing that I really like as well, and I don't know what it is about it. It's not that I don't like deck building, but for some reason, anytime it's more of a bag building, putting it together, it's pretty much the same type of thing.
Yeah.
But there's something about pulling out of the bag versus picking up cards and having a hand of cards. I don't know, it's probably 3 to 5 fold that I prefer a bag building versus a deck building game. Once I kind of went through how this played, I was extremely excited to play it because I was like, I must have totally forgot. I didn't even realize it was that type of game, a bag building. I don't even know what I thought. I couldn't remember, and I was really, really excited to play it. My expectations then were raised a little bit. I was like, this should be fun. I didn't realize that it was bag building or whatever, and pulling out of the bag and having to do certain things. And that's one of my favorite mechanisms as well. So I really enjoyed how it worked in this game, and I liked how you were improving pretty much the chips in the game of the coffee beans by, like you said, roasting them. And then there's 2 rounds where you said you can add smoke. Those are double roasting rounds, so you're hoping to if you're doing that round, you're hoping that you're trying to increase as much as you can, like if you're looking for a big thing. So, and I think they're placed, this is based off one play, so I don't know that they're placed perfectly or not, but to me it felt like they were placed pretty perfectly.
In the plays I've played, it felt like that was always the best spot.
Yeah, because it kind of, sometimes it's like, usually I would think you'd probably do the first one, unless some weird circumstances happened in the first few rounds. But then that second one always was the one that always was like,
I feel like you always have to think about it.
That's the one you think about for sure.
Because that adds 3 smoke tokens as well.
Which are negative points. So there's a few things in the bag that are negative points, and there's a way to get some of them out, but it's not always easy.
And that's another
push your luck type thing.
Yeah, that's another time where you can be like, do I roast again to hopefully get a flavor token, a special token to play on one of the one-time actions printed on the board to remove all negative scoring from that pull from the bag. But then if you don't get that token to be able to play to get rid of those negative points, then you just roasted your beans maybe too far. Or if you didn't even pull the negative tokens, you're in the same situation, and your coffee's gonna be a little burnt.
Right. Yeah. And then even like in the second round that I played, I had a pretty good first round, pretty good. It wasn't like an amazing, but it was pretty good for especially the first round that I played. Then the second round, I had what I thought was a great round right before I went in to try to do my coffee. And even though I had thought, I think overall the bag was decent. But I ended up getting 0 points. which was just good. It kind of, in a way, it kind of felt bad because it's like I felt like I had a great round. So I got this high of thinking, like just the round before that, I didn't think that. I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good. I'm not in a good situation here. I'm going to have to go like all the rounds of upgrading my beans, but then that one felt really good. I got rid of a bunch of negative stuff.
Yeah.
And I upgraded multiple of my things to like level 3, I think, or something like that. And I can't remember. I don't think I even qualified it. You got enough.
Yeah, you didn't, because it has kind of a range of pretty much the value of your coffee, the sum of it, and you can get below it or way above it, your ideal, and still score some points, but you were even below the range, I think, by like 1 or something.
Yeah, and it was
so you had 0
good.
points from that.
Yeah, it was not good, but it's interesting because you can have a really good game going into it, but there's still that a little bit of luck at the end. But then if you opened up those spaces, there's some interesting choices. Well, you get 3 for sure, and then you can open up an additional 2 like spaces where if you pull out and you don't like that,
a trash can for any tokens you don't want to put in the cup.
So like some of them are easy. Like if it's a negative thing, obviously you put it there.
Yeah.
But some are it makes it interesting. Like, ooh, I know I have a lot of high leveled ones. Should I put this one in there so that I don't get too high and burn my coffee, or do I trash it and hope to get multiple 3s or something? Because having a set of like all the same numbers also scores you a couple points as well.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting.
I really like
combination of things.
It's like you would think maybe it'd just be like, oh, if you pull a negative token, you put it in there. But like even the number tokens, depending on when they come out, and it happened a lot, and you're just like, do I want this one in there? Do I even want to put a 0 in here? I've got a lot of ground to make up, but I have a lot of 4s, and then if you get like 2 4s in a row, do I take a third 4? I'm going to have way too high of a number, but I'm going to get points because you get points for a balanced cup, I guess. But yeah, I like that. Even just placing the numbers, which aren't necessarily negative points, you have to put some thought into whether you want to throw those away.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's just a very interesting combination of things working together, and they all felt like they deserved to be in the game, and like it didn't feel like anything was in there that was just like adding things that didn't need to be there. The things in the game too worked in a way to like it made the choices interesting. Yeah, like the way it was set up. Yeah, because I think that it would have, like, if they didn't have that where you want like 3 of a kind or something. That you wouldn't think it adds that level of like thinkiness to it, but it just adds that slight extra level of oh, do I get this third 4, like you said, or whatever. And it's just very, very interesting how it all came together. Yeah. So, what is your first impression, first score and thought?
First impression score of this is going to be pretty high. I really really enjoy this game. I'm thinking, I mean, at least a 9 to a 10, 9.5, something like that. This is,
oh boy,
I really,
a top game.
I really enjoy this. This is definitely in the running for top solo games for me.
How about games in general?
Games in general. I mean, I think we will be seeing this in the top 50 games this year.
Boy, yeah. I agree. It's a really solid game. I'm gonna give it an 8. I really like it. But the one thing is, it's a solo game, and we kind of talked about this. Yeah. I wish they had at least included one more like set of things to make it a 2-player game. Yeah. Because it didn't, and you don't have to change anything about the game. It can still pretty much be like 2 solo versions of it. Yeah. Just so you don't have to buy like 2 copies of the game if you wanted to play with another player, or like you play around and then they play around, or something like that. Yeah. I think that's the only thing that'll hurt it for me, because I don't know that I'll always choose to play it. It's definitely a really good one if I'm looking for something to play solo. It's like I said, I don't play that many solo, but much like this one, I've been playing Hadrian's Wall a few more solo games this year already as well, and it's been a good one. And I think this one definitely, it's the fact that I'm giving it an 8 and it's solo only, that means quite a bit, I think. But yeah, if it had like 2 to 4 boards or something like that, I think it would be in that nine plus range.
Oh wow! I can't believe that would change it that much.
I just think it does, just because I don't know how much I will play it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's true.
Maybe I'll play it a lot, but initial thoughts.
We'll just have to buy 4 more copies.
Make it a 5-player game.
Just buy 100 copies, right? 1 to 100.
But no, it's a very solid game. If you're a solo gamer, I'm sure you've probably played this maybe already, but if you haven't, I would highly recommend it, especially if you like any of the bag building games, like Quacks or Orleans or
it feels like we have so few bag building games.
It does.
To where maybe that's why this one feels extra good for you, just because we don't have that many.
I think that might be what it is. It's part of that, because it's got that same combination of that and press your luck kind of thing. And those are two things that just really work well together.
Perfectly.
But yeah. Otherwise, that's our initial thoughts on Coffee Roaster. Anything else?
Nothing else really, and neither of us drink coffee.
That's true. So yeah, if you like the theme, definitely try it out. And yeah, it's just know that if you're not a solo gamer or you like to play in groups or whatever, this one, then it's probably not as much of one you'll probably play. But yeah, that's the only negative that I can see right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to see more on Coffee Roaster, an unboxing, I think we have that. Oh boy, I think that'll be by Pepper.
Yes.
So if you want to see that, you'll want to subscribe so that you can see when that video pops out.
I actually confused it with a bag of coffee beans on my first take.
Wow.
But we got to it. We got it done.
That is maybe true. I don't know if there's any truth to that statement at all. But otherwise, we will see you next time. And as always, don't forget to
keep on nibbling or drinking that coffee and our content.